Hi guys, how are you doing? I thought I'd come on for a few minutes. I've got the butterflies, and it's going to take me a few minutes to calm down, stop being nervous. Hi, Annie A. This time I think I'm reading the correct chat, y'all. um, Hi, Wicked. Hi, Coconut Cream. Hi, Auntie M. TT. Hi, thank you for being here, love. Um, Hi, Michelle. Hi, Little Wing. Okay, so I'm going to start a little early because I'm an impatient person, and that's why I don't like to schedule things because then I just sit here and stare at the clock, and that doesn't work for me. So we're just going to go ahead and go with it. On my last live, as everybody knows, Jody Sue came in my chat, and I was trying to keep from her, you know, throwing me off and controlling the chat and controlling everything. She didn't ask for a link to go on panel. Um, so then, I ended up shortly after that, I ended up getting lost in Andy's chat because on my screen on my computer, it was showing Andy's chat. And I kept looking for Jody Sue's comments and I couldn't find them. And so then I got lost. And so, I found my way back and realized that I was looking at the wrong chat after a good few minutes. And that was hilarious. And so, hi Samantha, hi Denny, hi Sweet D, hi Laylee. And so I, was kind of floundering around and trying not to act like I was floundering around. So I went back the next day and I was curious as to exactly what we were talking about when Jody Sue came in, my chat. And the first thing, if I'm not wrong, that she said was, "Are you really here again, you know, giving out misinformation?" And it was Cam and I talking, and Cam had been talking about the footprints. And so I'm not sure exactly who she was speaking of, probably both of us, and it doesn't matter. But it's interesting because when she started speaking, is right when the footprints had ended and I began speaking about those text messages between her and Andy that were allegedly done on the 15th, excuse me, of June. And so, hi, Sky. Hi, Kimberly. And so it was really interesting to me, that she's never, ever came out on my chat before. And so I was really, really, really interested in seeing what it was that made her jump in the chat. And so, Cam had invited her up on the panel, and I was like, nope, not gonna happen. And so anyway, she went bye-bye, went to her own chat and everything. But it was interesting to see exactly what it was. And it was where I was speaking about now it might have, the footprints might have been what prompted her to come here, and I'm sure it was. But when she started speaking, it was when I was speaking about the time frame. And on that message, she's speaking shortly after 6:02, that she was going to go down to the end of her driveway in 25, meaning 25 minutes. And then, according to her, her last message was sent at 6:09. And so I think I really messed with her on that. I really do. Because if you look at and then you compare all the things that she says that she did, right? It kind of throws her timeline off a little bit. And her timeline is what everybody's been working off of all of this time, those messages, when we think that Candace went this place and that place, and then Jody Sue's messages, and when the police showed up. And so, that's really curious to me. And so I've often wondered if any of that timeline is real that day. And I've wondered if things happened before the 15th, and I still do. I know, that everybody's like, TBI said, but the way I hear what Leslie said in that TBI news briefing is that reportedly the family told them this information. If they had had hard proof, they would have stated that way. They would have said, we know that she was at such and such place at such and such time, and we don't know anything after that. The way they worded it lends me to believe that they're repeating what the family had been, telling them. And so there's been several things that's been mentioned over time, that's kind of thrown little wrenches in. And so let me just bring back something to our memory. Remember on June 1st, there was a text message floating around between Candace and Hunter where it's basically the same thing that was supposed to have happened on the 15th between Candace and Hunter, in that Grandis was going to the hospital, you know what I mean? And, they were contacting one another, Hunter and Candace. Some people didn't believe those messages were real. I still wonder, okay? Um, I'm going to piggyback a little bit today off of Tiffany and Benny and Fizzle's lives that they did today. I had pulled some things out that some videos that I wanted to work on. And I was going to, high flies on the coleslaw. Miss, is that Arkansas? Hi, Teresa. Hi, who said what? So I was going to, talk about where Dobbs is talking to Don B and Jody Sue's reaction, and I had pulled that video to the side, but decided I was going to go this route instead, that I'm going to go tonight. But a few things that I want to, excuse me, I had a latte, guys, and it happens to me every time. And so I have a few things that I want to go over and refresh our memory of what I was discussing the other night. Um, After Jody Sue came in, I got a little crabby, and I was tired. My back was hurting and everything. And I didn't realize that live had gone that long. And I don't like doing them that long. And so I was really, really tired. And so I'm sorry for the way I just jumped off at the end there. But I want to say that we've got the Amber Moon video, right? The car diary. If you go into your search engine on YouTube and just type Jody Sue car diary, you'll pull it up. And you've got to watch into, I think, the first 2 hours, somewhere around there. I don't remember the timestamp right offhand. Anyway, she's talking about the shower, seeing Dawn come out of the shower and all that. I did a commentary months back on it, and about 4 or 5 months ago. And we've since, ruled out that, she couldn't have possibly seen Dawn with Summer in that way. And then my thing was going a little bit further where she's talking about sitting in the car, and it was unwarranted information that she had offered up. And that caught my attention. She goes from talking about Summer being in the door, and then she says, and you're, the oldest, talking about Candace's oldest, was outside with her, and Candace was yelling at the oldest because the oldest was going, Jody Sue's right about the dogs, Mom. Well, if Summer's standing in the door, right, yelling for a towel, why would anyone be having the conversation about the dogs, and Jody Sue being right about the dogs? And she immediately goes from that into saying that she was driving and she couldn't see well that night. And if anybody lives in the mountains or countryside, it's really, really darker than in the mountains, though, than most countryside that I've been on. No street lights. You can't see your hand in front of your face. It's extremely dangerous to walk. And Jody Sue will tell everybody, that she can just walk around in the woods like, she's got special eyes. Well, she must not live in the mountains that I'm familiar with because you can't. And, um, and so, I mean, it's just that difficult. And so when she made that comment, it made me wonder if there was an accident and Summer got harmed that night. Now, I'm not saying that Summer died that night. I'm just wondering, did Summer have something happen that night? And then to remind you about Dawn telling Cher about, scaring, and he says the information and it's unwarranted. He's talking about trying to scare Summer away so that she wouldn't wander off because of wild animals. And then he immediately pops in and goes, that he scared her away when she was sitting behind cars, and that he would sneak up on her and scare her. And it just didn't fit what he was saying. And so that was two instances where two different people were talking about cars and they had inserted it in places that it didn't belong and didn't fit what was being said. And so it just struck me funny. Um, in that video of Amber Moons, Jody Sue is saying that she saw Summer 2 nights before, and she's said it many, many times in many videos. And that she's High Wandering Hearts, that she saw Summer 2 nights before, and that Andy saw Summer the night before. She always made sure to say that Andy was last, right? Well, if you went 2 nights before, that would put it the 13th of June. Okay. That would be Sunday. And so there was rumors that people were on the hill that weekend partying, right? What if there was something like that going on during the weekend? Um, what if several people that seem to be associated with this whole thing, and I'm talking Allie, Hunter, the whole works, happened to be present at that time of this alleged party? I'm not saying there was a party. I'm just saying it's been said, and it's been said by locals that, people were up there partying. And then you've got Marlena saying that Summer's bag was being packed, right, for her to go away during this time frame too. So you've got all these different conflicting stories going on about the same time frame. You got Dudley saying that he was fired the day before Summer went missing, which would be the 14th. Dobbs comes on his property on the 14th. Everybody has him escorted off his own property by law, right? There was just so much going on in this few short days prior to Summer disappearing. Hi, Lip Block, and hi, Cantley. And so if I've missed anyone, I'm sorry. I really can't pay attention to chat and talk. I'll get better at it, as time goes by. Right now, I'm not good at it. And so, it just makes me wonder about actually from the first on, if you really want to get down to it, because there is no proof. Where's the proof that Summer was around? I keep wanting to say alive. And so if I say it, please don't get offended, because sometimes I think she's not, you know, and I want to believe that she is, but there's no proof yet that we know. Now, I've heard this, the song and dance that, Chris McDonough had proof of this, that, and the other. I haven't seen it, you know, till I see it, know it, can't believe it. And, it goes into the it's possible pile, just like everything I'm talking about right now. It's possible. And so there is no hard proof of when anyone saw Summer last. We only have Jody Sue saying who saw Summer last. And I don't trust her as far as I can throw her, literally. And so that being said, um, there was some issues also going on at 125. Now, I don't know the backside of if Jody Sue got evicted and Andy's parents told him that, I'm not saying that Andy's parents said this, okay? Don't get me wrong. I don't have the inside scoop. I'm just saying it's odd that Andy didn't go live there, at that time when he was looking for, a camper. And so it made me wonder if, his family has said, you're out, you're not staying there no more, whatever, right? I know that the eviction was done on Jody Sue, and but the 14th, Jody Sue was fighting tooth and nail for that property right next door to keep people off that property and to protect the property lines of 125. She has admitted to moving the property pins, to make it look like Dobbs wasn't on his own land, you know. She later on, months later, admitted to that. So it was a long time before she admitted to that. And then she blamed the Bernards. But on the 14th, she's fighting tooth and nail. So I don't believe that Jody Sue knew that she was going to be evicted at that time. Somebody had emailed me and asked me, did I believe that? And no, I do not. I do not believe that there was any inclination to Jody Sue that she wasn't going to be living at 125 for very long. I think she was totally blindsided. Fred Hill goes on to talk, and he's like, they started having problems after Summer disappeared. And so we're going to talk about some of that tonight. Hi, Andy. And I always thought Andy left from out of there because it was too hot since everything happened. Yes, I did too, Andy. That was my first thought, was that business couldn't be done anymore, you know. And I wondered if that's why Jody Sue left as well. I mean, of course, she was evicted, but I'm pretty sure that they, probably had some serious issues shortly after. And when Jody Sue talks about Andy flipping his wig, they might as well kill me. In my mind, I was seeing and hearing when she said that, in my mind, a man that was, thinking of how is he going to pay his bills, that or whatever, without making that side money. And so, and then it was said that, weed got burned and all that. I don't know how true that is. He did, say that he grew. I don't know if he grew on property, so I can't really say. But I did think that, partly why Andy took off was because of not being able to do business. But Fred Hill goes on to say that Andy disappeared, right? 3 days after Summer disappeared. In the first 3 days, he stood down there, with Jody Sue watching everything at the command center. And so Fred goes on to say that he took off to Knoxville and nobody knew where he went. Jody Sue was like, oh, no, he didn't do all that. He was around. And, you do see videos where, he's in the back seat and everything, or he's kind of like disinterested in what she's going on about on all videos that she did. And, I don't know where Andy went. If Andy did leave, he very well could have went to visit, Becca. Who knows? They said that they didn't start dating until, after Andy left. So I really don't know. And I can't say. And anything I would say at this point would be pure speculation. And I'm just mentioning it because you're going to hear it in a few minutes. So, but as I was saying, that's, Jody Sue's timeline that we're working on mostly here and in those messages. And she did say many, 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 many times that both Andy and Dawn came in at the same time. right, on Ben Hill. In fact, she went so far in one video to say that they were both in the roadway at the same time. And I've got that video as well. And I wrote me a little note to remember to say that to y'all, you guys. Y'all guys? Oh my gosh, my speech is getting terrible. Around July of this year, Jody Sue started changing. And that was when it was determined that Don was going to get out at the end of October. October 30th, I believe, is the date. And instantly, almost instantly, I mean, right up to that time, because she thought for sure that he was going to hop, skip, and jump right on over to Utah, right? And get locked up there. And didn't happen. And so far, it's not happened. And I'm not even sure it's going to happen. That's a different story for another time. As soon as that was aired, that Don was going to get out on October 30th, Jody Sue changed. And slowly but surely, video started disappearing off of her page. And I know this because I had screenshot all of Jody Sue's videos so that I could have the titles, right? And the time frames. So that when I went back, I could sit there and, not have to go scroll through all of her videos and I would know, exactly how she wrote the title. And so I had all of those screenshots and I watched them disappear bit by bit by bit. And I started mentioning it. Hey guys, do y'all notice that the videos are disappearing? McBro noticed, and both he and I'm not sure if McBro is a guy or girl, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. We started, talking back and forth about it. And then all of a sudden, one big whoosh, and they were gone. And before all of that, hi, Canadian Cookie, Tennessee Rose. Let me see. Izzy Rose, how are you doing? Hi, Bama fan. Number one. I think I've got everybody. I think so. And Hunted Coyote. I love that. But so she was, she was deleting her videos. And so originally, when she did those 16 videos, those were on Facebook. And they were split up, and a couple other ones right behind them. The first, that one video that she split into 16 videos is what she did. And she did a couple more videos. And that was with the intent to upload them all to Facebook, to YouTube, so that she could strike YouTube channels. This was long before she made her YouTube channel. And the reason why she made her YouTube channel, allegedly, because this is what she said, was in order to upload all of her Facebook videos so that she could strike everybody. And then I don't know if she ran into trouble figuring out how to upload it, couldn't figure out how to get a huge file uploaded. So at any rate, she broke them down and she uploaded them to YouTube and started her channel, I think, in February of this year. And but she had already been talking some trash on the Wells. Okay. Dawn goes to jail in February. Jody Sue really started letting her hair down then. And then, like I said before, every time Candace talked, Jody Sue would come on and rant and rave, and God knows what went on in the background, guys. We have no idea, what was going on in the background. She talks about the background all the time. And she could have been threatening Candace. She definitely indirectly threatened her many times on her lives. And we've aired those videos as well. And so in July of this year, after it was determined that, Dawn was going to get knocked out in October, those videos went away. And, it was, oh, I'm not going to give, before that, she started playing games where she'd post a video and she'd remove it. She was doing that on Facebook before she came over to YouTube, which was ridiculous because 2 days, 3 days, she'd post the video. So, like, what kind of game are you playing? And one, you're supposed to be transparent trying to find a little girl. So why are you playing games? She's talked nonstop about baiting. She's talked about um, putting out clues and people not being able to find, follow the clues. She even mentioned that same sentence last night. Um, it just doesn't ring true for somebody that's innocent. I don't care how pissed off you are at the YouTube community and everybody else, it's not truthful. It doesn't appear to be someone that's innocent, that has nothing to hide. They don't behave that way. They don't take down their videos that are out there to help people, especially if they've been telling people for months that you need to go research all of my videos. She still screws up and says it, even though she's removed the videos. She still goes, well, you must not have researched. You must not have this. No, honey, a lot of people are just now coming in, to true crime, and they're not going to know all of that. And if they ask her any question along that line, she has a temper tantrum every single time. So it's ridiculous. If you're innocent, there would have been no reason to remove all those videos. None. None. No matter if you talk crap on the wells or not. Do you think they're not going to find out? Many of the videos are already out. So I believe she's trying to play up on Candace now so that, she can join up. She keeps talking about how all the tragedy pimps have, done all this kind of horrific things for forever against missing children. But she can't name but one. And the ones that she does name is not true, right? Um, but she doesn't have to be true to hand out a bunch of garbage to people that aren't privy to the knowledge that of what she's saying is untruthful. She can throw out whatever jello she wants and see if it sticks. And to a lot of people, it sticks. To a lot of people, we've seen right through that jello in time. And so, um, you just, hi, Joe, how are you doing, love? You just gotta suffer through all of those hour-long videos to get to maybe 2 minutes of some actual talk. And like I said, it was very apparent after a period of time that she didn't have any information and that most of what she did have, she had taken from other people. Um, for instance, seeing Dawn, coming out of the shower with Summer, that first came from True, Allison's daughter. Okay. A lot of the statements, almost everything, if you write down all the things that she has said and then look back in time, you will find that someone else said it first, right? And so, yeah, in those 16 videos, Summer's name was barely mentioned, and Cher did a live and showed it. I think it was, I might be wrong, but I believe it was Summer 8 or something before she even started mentioning Summer. And so why would she get mad about squirrel? Um, I hate saying squirrel teats. Why would she get mad at Squall? She's the one that went to Squall and asked to do the interview. Okay. She was perfectly fine with all of that at that time. Now she's trying to project to all of y'all that certain YouTube creators were already involved with the wells before Summer went missing. In other words, and the same thing with the church. That's what she's been doing the last 2 nights, trying to throw all that back out again. She has circled around to where Don was in the beginning because he's getting ready to get out. So what is she doing? She's going to feed off of that crap that she fed him before that he ate, as she puts it. Okay? She's playing that game again. She's putting it in there subtly, and she's telling everybody that, all of these tragedy pimps, they're just out for the money. They attack the families, they do this, they do that, da 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 da. And that's where she's going. She's trying to make it sound like certain creators and Robin and David and the preacher all got in cahoots with the Wells and somehow made Summer disappear for money. She brings up the marathon, all of that. Well, there's nothing wrong with being the first person who thought of doing a marathon. What crime is that? If Squall did think that, even if Squall had thought it and someone else ran with it, I could see the reason why Squall would be upset about it. It would have been her baby that she wanted to start, and someone took the idea and ran with it. And, stuff like that happens all the time. So I can definitely believe that happened, but there's no crime in it. There's nothing wrong with being the first person to think about doing a marathon. Nothing. But to listen to Jody Sue talk about it, there was. Okay. Hi, Birdie. Hi, where's Summer 1-800 TBI fine? Let me see. Did I miss anyone else? Hi, Sandra. Hi, Martha. And so, but anyway, let me look at my notes real quick. I don't know if I've told y'all, but I have macular degeneration. And so sometimes I get like sparkling lights in my eyes, and it takes me a few minutes to see past them. They do stop, but sometimes I have to sit there for a second to look past it. Um, and then we've got the video when we were speaking about the weekend prior, to Summer missing. We've got that video where she's talking about searching for Summer when they were searching for Dobbs, right? That video. So that's another thing that goes on, on the few days before Summer. And so when I was discussing the maps the other night, and I was trying to get everybody to understand that in the text messages between Andy and Jody Sue on June 15th, he's talking about passing his mom's, and that he will, text her when he passes his mom's, so she wouldn't be standing out there in the heat so long. In one of his lives, he says, I don't understand why she went down there 2 hours early. So he was referring to going down at the bottom of the hill 2 hours early. Okay. Well, if you put 2 hours early, that's going to take you anywhere between 4:30 time frame. And I've spoken to you before about what happened at the 4:30 time frame. Is we've got the scream in that time frame. We got a few more things in that time frame. And if we look at all the times, we have several things going on. Candace was supposed to come in around 3:00, according to what everybody is, come to the conclusion, 3:00, 3:20, depending on where all she stopped. As if she even did the things that she said she did that day. You got Fred Hill saying that she walked by his driveway around 3:30. And you got the 5:30 time frame where you've got two different men speaking about 5:30 originally. And so it goes on. And so, anyway, in that message, he speaks about passing his mom's. And so I immediately thought of Fields Road, right? Well, Cam points out that his mom lives in the was I always say the wrong way. Lone Star? Yeah, Lone Star Road. And is it Lone Star? I always want to call it other name. I think it's Lone Star. Anyway, you guys know where I'm talking about. And so, because he said that, I wanted him to pull up the map and show me where it was. I knew that it wasn't where, it wasn't on the other side of Ben Hill towards Mount Carmel. I already knew that, where that road was at. What I didn't know and needed him to show me if there was a back way, where you could travel down the road, circle around, and come back up Fields Roadway to Ben Hill. So he pulls up the map and we look at it and no. So even if he had gone to his mom's over on that road, he still wouldn't have passed Mount Carmel Church. And Jody Sue had said that's where Andy saw Candace, and Candace told him that Summer was missing when they were all searching for Summer, right? And so if you look at it going, that he decided, because if you go to Lone Star, you're going to come from Kingsport, you're going to hit Lone Star, then you're going to turn into Ben Hill, right? As you travel down Beach Creek, you're going to turn into Ben Hill. But in order to get to Mount Carmel, you got to pass Ben Hill, travel down a little bit, about a mile, and you're going to see Mount Carmel, right? And just a skip past Mount Carmel is Fields Road. All right. So if he came from Lone Star, he would turn onto Ben Hill. He wouldn't have gone as far as Mount Carmel in order to see Candace. And I said to him, I said, well, do you think maybe he could still refer to his mom's other property off of Phil's as mom's? Maybe he went somewhere else. Maybe he got off of work and he needed to stop somewhere for something other than drink, right? Pick it up and then come home. And if he did that, that's fine. I have no problem with it. It's just that we don't know. And so we're only going by what is in those messages. Hi, Kiko. Hi, Mimi Jean. Hi, Cat's Eye. Hi, Stay Tiger. And if he came past Ben Hill, he would have came up on Candace at Mount Carmel. Say he was going to Fields Road area for whatever reason, right? He would have passed Ben Hill. He would have came up on Candace. I do believe Jody Sue in where she says that that's where Andy was told Summer was missing and that it was by by Candace at Mount Carmel Church. I do believe Jody Sue. I wasn't able to believe Jody Sue until Andy him-hawed around the answer of where and who told him. Where was he and who told him? And so to move on from that, wanted to mention also that he said that he didn't pass the shed. Well, if you went to Mount Carmel, he passed the shed. Am I not correct? All right, so let me see if there's anything else on these notes here before I load up the video I want to air for you. Oh, yeah. And so in one of the videos, well, several of the videos, depending on the version of events that Jody Sue gives, she states that she saw the boys. This is one of the versions now, that she saw the boys. They were kneeling down at the creek. Their knees were almost touching one another, and that the male neighbor was down by the fence, okay? And that she approaches the boys, and then she goes on talking to the boys, and the eldest stands up, and he's the spokesman, and we know the rest of that. So the fence thing always stood out to me, and I'm like, well, where's the fence? Okay. Well, the only fence that I'm aware of, and I could be wrong on this because I've not been there, guys. So I'm asking the people who have been there in that area that have searched. The only fence, when I pull up the maps and I look at, Google and all of that, Google Earth, the only fence that I see is at 101 Ben Hill, and that's Blue Roof Dawn's house. Okay. So, um, because when she first told it, you're visualizing in your head because you don't have all the information yet. So I'm visualizing, this area and a creek and, a fence, right? And some open land, not open, but you know what I'm saying, some land away from the creek because she was saying that, he had the neighbor had moved off from her and had gone down by where the fence was. And so that's where, and then the boys went back up to the hill after they talked to Jody Sue. And so later on, she's telling you that they're all down, at the bottom of the hill at the creek, and, they go back up the hill. So it just depends on the version that's told at that time. But, the fence thing really caught my attention. And if you look at JLR, Jonathan Lee Richards' video that I showed the other day, when you get down to the end of Ben Hill, where we stopped viewing his video, you can see the fence, one side of the fence. And when you pull it up on map, you can see where it goes all the way around that property. So I believe that's where she was referring to at that time. Oh, my phone's not plugged in or something is about to die. Hang on, guys. You see what is going on. Yep, my cat's pulled my cord from the wall. All right, so let's see. All right, so Lone Star's correct. Okay, thank you, Julia. Let me see if there's anything in here I need to talk about. Try not to use curse words, guys, just, because YouTube don't like it. So if you want to use them, try to, put another figure in, like if you want to say SH explanation T, that's fine. Just to keep YouTube happy, okay? And I think everything she tried to say, oh, I lost it. Hang on. Yeah, she always tries to say like someone's trying to blackmail her. Yeah, she is. How in the heck, thank you, Andy, how in the heck would she have, I mean, this woman, we all know how much storage a phone holds, right? You would have to have multiple phones or the knowledge of putting them on USBs. Remember the bag she pulled out and it was full of stuff? I guarantee you that had everything that she's ever said to anyone via text and whatever. Because in Jody Sue's eyes, you never know when you're going to need, to have something to keep someone's mouth shut. And you can tell by the way she reacted when Dobbs came on Don B's channel. She couldn't even blink. She sat there on the edge of her seat waiting, waiting. She did the same thing when Andy B came on, and he didn't do anything that time. He did not do nothing, and she completely lost it. She did the same thing with Candace every time Candace came on, right? So I do believe, and then, the stuff that she's going to court for now, you know, there's, she's just got a lifetime of, excuse me, hanging on to stuff to blackmail people with. And maybe that's why Dawn didn't want to talk about Jody Sue, right? In the beginning. Candace did. Candace did right off the bat. She wasn't shy about it whatsoever, you know. Summer, if Candace is innocent, she was very raw at the time. And when you're raw, you're more apt to say things and do things that you wouldn't do when you're thinking straight, And I do think sometimes that Candace isn't on 110 because she doesn't want to be alone, and two, maybe because she's afraid to be alone. And then there's times that, I think her and Candace still communicate. And I think if any time has been where there's communication, it's been recent because I believe that Jody Sue's working really hard at swaying Candace so that she can sway Dawn when Dawn gets out. Okay, so let's go to what was said in the interview with Fred that Ziggy did. There was another example of people that have tried to help Jody Sue. And, I did a list of all the creators that at that time that Jody Sue had lifted her leg, on, said bad things about. Some of them hadn't said anything derogatory about her before she did. She did it to everyone. And I should have kept the list going, and I didn't. But I'm sure there's at least 25 more people since I wrote that list and put it on my community wall. So I just lost my train of thought, guys. I was talking about her. Oh, so Ziggy had helped her. She did the Amazon thing at Christmas time. Ziggy goes down to Tennessee and doesn't tell Jody Sue, and Jody Sue loses her utter shit as soon as she found out that she was down there, right? And then all of a sudden it became what Jody Sue does, a flurry of, oh, look at all the messages, that I've ever gotten, from this person, making fun of Ziggy because Ziggy didn't know what the bones were that she was looking at, on and on and on and on and on. And she made a big stink about those bones. And I saw right through that crap. I knew right away that she was using the bones as a distraction, a deflection to keep everybody from listening to what Fred was actually saying. And it worked. Everybody was talking about the fact that Ziggy went home with a dog. Who freaking cares? Right? One of those dogs got off that hill, was being taken care of. Nobody knew, what was going to happen, but because it was Ziggy, everybody, lost their, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people lost their minds and really gave Ziggy a hard time. I think the dog has been far better off than where it would have been if it had remained on that hill. And so that's my personal opinion on that, y'all. And so I think the bones were the same thing. So you had two different things that Jody Sue was going on about. Oh, that was one of my grand dogs. Oh, look at those bones, da 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 da. And it was all to keep everybody from listening to Fred and what she had to say. And Ziggy said that she felt like she couldn't talk about Jody Sue, that she felt hemmed in because she had been friendly with Jody Sue, and that she would feel bad if she did. And I totally get it because that happened all the time back then, right? Um, had it not been for several things that Jody Sue said, especially concerning cancer, I might not have never made my channel. But, I got sick and tired of being angry and raging in my house, about listening to this woman. And so I was like, I'm done. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to point this stuff out. And the only way I can do it is with my channel. And so I did. I started doing it. And I'm thankful I did. I have no regrets to this day. I have zero regrets of opening up my channel and showing the many, 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 many inconsistencies. At some point, showing all the inconsistencies becomes redundant because we know she's inconsistent and that she gives out misinformation and that she baits people for fun in a missing child's case. We all know it. We know that she has nothing to offer, and what she might know or could offer, she's not going to for whatever reason, not even to help a missing child. She's just not going to do it, guys. If she hasn't done it in a year and a half, she's not going to do it. Now, Ziggy finally posted the videos. She took some heat, just like everyone else that started talking about Jody Sue. But she did it, and I'm thankful that she did. And like everything, when you first hear it, you're listening and you're a little distracted by background noise. In my case, I fell asleep and had to re-listen. Other things are always going on. So Fred's stuff comes in, but there's something going on this channel over here that catches everybody's attention, and we go in that direction instead of fully absorbing that other moment. And that's what we've done all the way through this case. We need to slow it down, re-examine every single thing, pick it apart, like we've been saying, with fresh eyes, and listen to everything without our preconceived notions. And it's hard to do that because it's really hard for me to look at Jody Sue and give her the benefit of the doubt. But I do. Like I said earlier, I agree with her about the Mount Carmel thing. Jody Sue says that Andy's a monster, but he's not that kind of monster, right? It was questioned today during a live, why would somebody do things that Jody Sue has done? What would cause you to do that? And we all think love, you got to love somebody so much that you would do what she's been doing. Now, who that person is the question, if that's the guilty party, right? But I'm just saying, if she is innocent of, just like I say about Don, he could be innocent, and the only thing he's guilty of is covering for somebody he loves. You see where I'm going with that? Hi, Sharon. Let me look through here real quick, guys, before I turn on this video, because once I do, I probably won't be watching chat, and I'm going to depend on y'all to watch chat for me and make sure everybody's nice to one another. My rules for everyone is don't talk about Jody Sue's minor daughter. If I say something, that's one thing, because I know when I'm going to stop, okay? Same thing with Marlena's daughter, same thing with the Wells boys. And, I might turn to y'all and say, go ahead and go for it. Tell me what you think, okay? In the future. But I'm just wanting to let you know that, I'm trying to stay away from that right this second. And so, And I don't want Jody Sue to have a reason to say anything about anything. And there's one more thing that I'm going to do, and this goes for all the mods. At any time I feel that you might need to be able to have a moment to be able to stand up for yourself, say somebody comes in chat and you might have a problem with them or they're being rude to you or whatever, I might take that wrench for that moment so that you can respond and be a regular person without somebody being able to say that you got specialized treatment because you had a wrench. And I've seen that happen in other people's channels, and I would give you the wrench back, but I just wanted to let you know that, if you see your wrench go, it's because I might not have understood what was going on at the time, or I was giving you freedom. So, all right, so let me get back to this here. All righty. Hi, Renegade. You don't know who any of these people are? Is this your first time in true crime community? If it is, the only thing I can suggest is to research Summer Wells, because it would take all night to try to tell you everything. You're welcome to stay in chat, but you would have to start from the very beginning, and that would be looking for the earliest dated videos that you can find. It's a very, very interesting case, and I'm pretty sure you would enjoy it, and you'll get hooked. And so, hi, Connie. And hi, you don't know me, but Inquisitive, how are you doing, love? Did I say hi to you, Shay? If I didn't, I'm saying it now. But anyway, so let's get going. We're going to play two of Ziggy's portions of her interview with Fred. And part of it's going to start at one point. I'm not going to listen to all of them, it's just little sections, okay? So let me hit share. Well, I don't see my share button now. Oh, there it is. Okay. I think it was this one I want to play first. Oh, I want to add this first. Let me cancel out of that. This is Ziggy's backspace, Kathy. Red Hill interview. You gotta move over, honey. Move over. All right, put that one down. I've got my niece with me, guys. All right, put that down. Oh, all right, type in part 1. Did it go in? All right, let me have that one. Hang on, guys. I'm not used to using the chat on the computer here. Hold on, honey. I'll let you do that in a second. Okay. All right, anyway, let's get back. I'll let you do the next one in a minute, okay? Just remind me. Oh, I gotta go to share. Okay. And here we go. Let me know if you can hear it, okay, guys? Lip lock. The one that I'm trying to share, hang on a minute, what's the title? It's the one I'm trying to share now is interview only, no commentary, Fred Hill, June 17th, 2022, part one. And the other one, you can go ahead and share that one too. And it's the same title except for part three. I'll love you forever. She's going to do it for me. All right, now. All right, so let me know if you guys can hear this, okay? Can y'all hear it? Can you hear the video, guys? Thank you, Andy. You can't hear it, Annie M? Okay, wait a second. Let me see what I'm doing wrong. Hmm. All right, how about now, guys? Can you hear it now? Nope. Share. Hmm. Share screen. All right, let's try this now. I'm gonna turn it on. Let me know.
Oh, and then I was gonna go to a grocery store, and then I ran on the
Still
man
can't hear it,
out
Michelle?
and here in Sullivan. He broke down on a motorcycle,
I
and
wonder why.
I told him he asked if I could get hold of somebody to come
Oh,
get
it's
him,
working now. Great.
haul it in for him. And I told him, I said, well, I got a trailer, so I come back and got a trailer.
Thank you, lip lock. That's what I didn't do. I didn't check that little button. Cam must have done that for me somehow last time because I don't remember ever clicking that little share audio box. Okay, so at this point here, he's going to start talking about seeing Andy come in that day.
Here and went probably for him the same day Summer went missing. And
Was it?
I didn't see nothing in down the holler down there during the times that they allowed she went missing.
You don't know what?
I can't. 3 days before she went missing, there's a white HHR set straight across from that building on the highway down there where you go.
Now, right there, he's talking about the white car, and that for 3 days he saw that car every time he came in and out of his area there. He saw that car, and there'd be several people standing around it, and he doesn't know who they were or anything about it.
Around Simpson Loop, right there, right on the corner. They sit crossways right again that bank right there. 3 days before she went missing, and every time I go to the end of the road right here and turn up the highway, I could see them there. I never did go down there to see who there was, and that, but they'd be like 2 or 3 people standing out every time I.
2 or 3 people standing out there. Can you guys hear him really good? It's got background music.
go out of the hall or anything. Every time I looked down through her, there was that YDJ's yard. And it was just 3 days before she went missing. Every day, yeah, to that day. That's what
He said every day up to that day.
didn't make sense to me. But there's a girl.
Now he's going to talk about the girl that comes in, okay? He describes her as being around 19 years of age, he thought. She was driving a car by herself. And then he's going to tell you about Andy driving the silver car and then a guy driving a truck that he can't recall the color or make or model of the truck.
In here that day too, that I seen her come in. See, I did like Andy and him. He was in here
That earlier that day.
earlier that day because I had to move and let him by because I had pulled the blue car and hit my mom's over in the road, and I had.
He's saying that he had to pull the blue car, right, and that he was in the road and he had to move so that he could let Andy get by. So if he's doing all of that, surely he saw who was inside the silver car. And, you know, unless those windows were extremely tinted, you know, as close as that road is, you know, it was tiny. We've seen many people drive down that road. You know, you literally could probably, you know, fit one car without going almost off into the creek to let the other car pass by. And so, and Fred was very aware of who was going in and out of Ben Hill all the time, very aware. So, like when Jody Sue says that she was hypervigilant, this man was as well.
I had the truck parked in the road, edge of the road with the door open, and I had to go move the truck to let him by.
Let Andy by?
Yeah, but what didn't make sense, there's the truck come in. I was down here working on some junk and stuff loading.
He said there was a truck that came in and he was Fred was working on some things.
And stuff, and the truck went in, and I was trying to wait on it to come back out. I pulled out of the road. Well,
He said that he was waiting for the truck to come back out.
he kept staying way back, just sitting like.
And the truck was staying way back. Now, where Fred lives is towards the end of Ben Hill. It wouldn't be up towards Beach Creek Road. It would have been past Don's and, you know, Jody Sue and Andy's. So if Andy went back that way, he would have passed his driveway. He would have passed the Wells driveway. And, you know, Fred's saying that he passed Fred's driveway.
Now it kind of makes sense, you know, but then it didn't. I just thought they was just waiting on me or something to do what I was doing, you know, just being kind. So I finally just backed all the way down here to this wide spot and turned around. And that's when I went on down Lawrence and started working on the cars and stuff down there.
So then Andy leaves. Fred leaves. He goes on down to his mom's and starts working on the car down there at his mom's.
But I cannot think what kind of truck it was or nothing. I just remember it was a dark colored truck.
All he can remember is that it was a dark colored truck.
I can't remember if it. That's what bothers me so bad. I remember everything about that day, but that right there.
And they were past your driveway over here a little bit?
Yeah, they's on past about where the water pump is and facing back out this. So they went up there and turned and come back down to right there. And then I got thinking about it because I went back down here and turned, and then I went down there and started working on their cars. And I didn't even think at the time about that vehicle hadn't even come out yet. And then Andy comes in that little car that they was driving.
Now notice he says Andy came in that little car. Hang on one second. I'm gonna mute you guys for 1 minute and speak to my niece here. Hold on. Wait, you can get snack. Okay. All right, where was I? All right. Okay, I'm back, guys.
Driving, and
Well, he had last said that, you know, he was driving that little car. So there's been some confusion as to whether or not Andy was driving a truck. He wasn't, according to Fred, right? According to Fred, he was driving the silver car.
the one that Jody Sue was still
And he's saying there it's the one that Jody Sue was still using at the time. Hi, Matthew.
driving there.
Are you talking about that silver car? Because I was to ask you about that silver car. They had a little silver, because that's on my list of questions.
See, that's when Andy was in that day, is that little silver car.
The day that Summer went missing.
And then it was like Andy come in when I let Andy buy that. Well, this is what happened. It's crazy. That truck come in, and then I was down there working. I had cars
He said the truck came in.
partly in the road and trailer and everything, and then I was
At the end of your drive here?
Yeah, and in my driveway right here. Well, I was trying to get all that mess kind of straightened up, and I was running short of time, so I just sit there with it, and because I didn't have time to get it unloaded and get to where I need to sell it in time, so I just forgot it, you know, just kind of got it out of the way. Well, I started out of the or back down here to turn. When I do, there's a girl comes in a
Now pay attention to how he describes the girl, okay, guys?
car, and this truck's still in.
He says there was a girl that came in a car.
Here at the time, and I can't remember what tag.
And this is
It was out of state tag. I was trying to think what tag it was on it.
Out of state
But
tag.
it was odd because I never seen it car no more. I seen it come in, and I never did see it go back out, and never seen it no more.
Is this when you were on the way to your mom's up here down to at 1?
Hang on one second.
And here, the turn when I do, there's.
I'm trying to decipher if he says that he never did see it go back out or if he saw it go back out. So that's why I'm rewinding.
The girl comes in a car, and this truck's still in here at the time, and I can't remember what tag.
And this is
it was out of state tag. I was trying to think what tag it was on it, but it was odd because I never seen it car no more. I seen it come in, and I never did see it go back out.
Yeah, he says he never did see it go back out. Saw it come in, but he never did see it go back out.
And never seen it no more.
Is this when you were on the way
And he never seen it no more.
to your mom's up here down to at 167 or 165? Or were you going out of the holler?
No, I was at 165 at the bottom of the hill. I had some junk cars just like this down there.
Oh, okay. So you weren't down here working. You were down there.
I was here at first, and then I went
to your mom.
Here and turned and went on down Mom's. In that steep curve right here where there's a turn right.
Yeah, and then
that's where I met that girl in that car. She's a real young like girl. She looked like she probably maybe 18 or 19, what I was figuring, you know. And it is odd that I can't.
Do you know what color hair or anything? Or probably not.
Sandy blonde, kind of dirty blonde like, you know.
She had sandy, dirty blonde hair.
You have a pretty good memory, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I could tell because everything you're telling me.
I play lost. I mean, I've run stuff through my brain so much. I try, when no situation comes up, I try.
But see, now she's saying he's got a good memory. He's remembering something because of what happened that day. That's what's so odd, is that everybody else has memory lapse that day. Look at all the people that really don't remember that well. Well, you got Candace and you've got Hunter, but they dispute exactly what they did that day. But other than that, it's pretty similar. You got Don, who's saying, you know, he went to work and he came home, you know, but, you know, time confusion. And then you've got Andy, who can't remember pretty much most everything that went on that day. And then you got Jody Sue, whose version changes nearly every time she tells the story. Now let's continue, guys.
I think what you would think about it, what somebody else think about it, and what I would think about it, not just what.
I know, that's crazy. That's what I do too.
Let's just do a little experiment here. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel. Now, everybody can never tell exactly what you're going to do in any event. And, I spoke to y'all about, and I really shouldn't make this comment, but, I told y'all that, I got kidnapped and raped years and years ago, right? I couldn't tell the police officers moments later what this person looked like, other than he had dark hair and a mustache. I mean, I just couldn't. It was gone, just gone. And so my entire life afterwards, I've not been able to pull a face. And so I can't explain why. So I do know that in extreme moments, things like that can happen. But, you know, put a 1 in the chat if you think that you would remember most of the important details of that day. Maybe not so much time exact, times or something like that, but where you came in, what you were driving, that kind of stuff. And put a 2 if you think that you would not remember. And I'm not talking about 15 months later. I'm talking, in that, the reason why I say not talking 15 months later, because I don't think that these people haven't talked about this stuff for 15 months. I think it's been a topic of conversation a lot, in their lives. And so that's what I'm saying. Whoops, I almost took you off there. And so that's what I'm saying. I think that this conversation has been had a lot. He's going to go further here and tell you that Jody Sue went down and talked to him, concerning all of this in that day. So, I do believe that, June 15th was discussed a lot over the past year and a half. Thank you, guys.
Are you a Pisces by chance? Are you a Pisces by chance? What's your birthday? What's your birthday?
November 11th.
Oh, okay. So you're actually
11/79. 76.
You and Dawn are close to.
Kitty Cat, when you start getting up into age like I'm headed, you'll walk into a room and forget what the heck you just walked in there for, or what conversation you just had 2 seconds because you weren't really paying attention when someone was talking to you, that kind of stuff. But, I kind of think that if something happened in my neighborhood, I might not be able to tell you what I was wearing, but I darn sure know how many cars I have in my driveway, what I normally drive, what I would have driven that day, what route I would have taken, because most of your routes are usually the same, if you're coming home from work or whatever, that kind of stuff, I might not have known exact times because I don't pay attention to times. And I might not have been able to tell you the date because one day to me, I'm retired. So one day to me is exactly the same as the day before, it's pretty much the same. So in that regard, I probably would be like, I'm not sure what day was that, and I'd have to ask somebody. All right, let's get going back to it.
His birthday. His birthdays are in November also. I think it's in November 14th or November. Yeah, because you just seem like I think you seem like a really nice, like, you seem.
I'm laid back.
You seem a lot like me, actually.
Way, way, way too much. I let people pitch me until.
Yeah,
I can really just blow up, really.
Yeah. So I'm really.
It takes a lot to get me to that point, though.
So when you, I'm still so sorry because I'm just really stuck in that story. You were just telling me you go by.
And she's going to bring him back to who was driving where and what again on June 15th that afternoon before Summer was, reported missing.
And that truck's still up here. Well, I go on down there. Mom's and Dad's are
He said the truck is up here, so that truck's already gone up into the back of Ben Hill.
at Bum Hill.
And that trailer that's up on the hill, right? Your
Yeah.
mom's?
Yeah.
Like,
I had old station wagon there at Bum Hill. Well, I had pulled it out of the brush and stuff there, and
I agree.
I actually had a trailer behind me then trying to get it, go ahead and get it loaded so I could take it the next morning. Well, I wasn't thinking at that time about the other vehicle still ain't come out. Well, Andy comes in then, and
while you're at your mom's?
yeah.
So he's at his mom's, which is still on Ben Hill, and Andy comes in.
While he's still down there working at the road. See, that's all three of them in here then.
So now you've got the truck, you've got the girl, the truck first, then the girl, then Andy. They all pass and all head to the back end of Ben Hill. And, we all know that Ben Hill is gated at the end. So it's, they would have been, at the end.
So why would Andy come back this way?
Andy too.
Why would Andy come back this way?
That truck followed Andy back out.
And then he says the truck followed Andy back out. And if you notice the tone of voice, his tone of voice changes. She asked, why would he be back there? He didn't answer. He instead says that truck followed him back out. And I'm going to rewind it just a second. I want you to hear the difference in his voice. First, his voice is soft. He's talking and it's got a softness to it. You know what I mean? And then there's a little bit of a bite to it. Listen closely.
I wasn't thinking at that time about the other vehicle still ain't come out. Well, Andy comes in then, and
while you're at your mom's?
Yeah.
So you can see her
still down there working at the road. See, that's all three of them in here then.
So why would Andy come back this way?
And Andy too.
Why would Andy come back this way?
That truck followed Andy back out.
See, that truck followed Andy back out. I mean, it was just boom. So right there tells me how Fred felt. Now, before I go any further, remember how Jody Sue has gone on from the very beginning that Andy and Fred were going to kill one another. And we were hearing that before Ziggy talked to Fred. And I couldn't figure out why she was saying that about Fred because they're kin. They might not hang out, they might not associate for whatever reason, whatever, the family dynamic is. But I couldn't figure out why she kept making that statement, when she would get on one of her rages and rambling talks that she does and stuff flies out, that's what she would say. And so, I never could figure it out. Then when I listened to Ziggy's interview, I thought, aha, okay. So then after Ziggy visits, right, I sat on pins and needles scared. I was like, oh my gosh, if Andy is what Jody Sue says, he's going to eventually hear this interview. And, I hope that Fred, is aware that it's going to be aired and all of that. And so I was a little nervous for Fred, right? But then as time went on, she kept making that statement. So we knew that enough time had gone by that the odds are Andy had heard the interview. Fred was okay, nothing bad was happening. But at the same time, we were also putting together that Jody Sue was saying all these different sorts of things, all these different sorts of bad things were going to happen. She was telling her community that YouTubers were going to come and just, go all over their property and fly drones over the top of kids' heads and this, that, and the other. And it was all this extreme stuff that she was spreading out there to terrorize anybody that was in that community and make them afraid, right? So then you got the vigil coming, the second one for summer, and she said the same thing, talking about y'all are going to watch Fred, Andy kill Fred or Fred kill Andy. Can't remember exactly how she worded it, but that's what she said. And so, I'm thinking to myself, why is both of them supposed to show up at the vigil? Neither did, as far as I'm aware, and neither of them harmed one another. And so I came away all that time feeling like she was trying to entice Andy into doing something to Fred, or Fred to do something to Andy. If Fred did something to Andy, Fred would take Andy out, and all of her problems, her personal problems, would cease. She wouldn't have to go to court. She wouldn't have to do anything for her personal issues, right? Her private personal issues with the man who she has children with. If Andy shot Fred for whatever reason, then he would go to jail or prison, and probably for the rest of his life, or long enough to shoot, wouldn't be much of a problem. So that's what I came away with, was that she was enticing, hoping to entice, and she was making enough vague statements on all of these videos that if Andy was listening, it's very possible that one of them would go to the other and they'd start, arguing and then blow up for whatever reason, and really bad stuff come of it. I believe that Jody Sue has tried to initiate things like that, like she did about the vigil, trying to scare people away and saying all these bad things were going to happen at the vigil, and it didn't happen. She's done it multiple times about multiple things. All right, so let's go back to the video.
He's like Andy come in and got that truck. I took it like, as I look back at it now, he's like that truck was looking for Andy's place or something, and they went up there and turned, and Andy come in to
be like, hey, it's back there.
Yeah, that's the way I took it, because they followed him right back out.
See, he said they followed him right back out. And he's talking about Andy. Let me rewind it.
So why would Andy come back this way?
Andy too.
Why would Andy come back this way?
That truck followed Andy back out. He's like Andy come in and got that truck.
He thinks that Andy came in and got that truck. Now, not got it like climbed in the truck, but, met up with the truck.
Andy too.
Why would Andy come back this way?
That truck followed Andy back out. He's like Andy come in and got that truck. I took it like, as I look back at it now, he's like that truck was looking for Andy's place or something, and they went up there and turned, and Andy come in to
be like, hey, it's back there.
Yeah, that's the way I took it, because they followed him right back out. But it bothers me that my mind's blank about that truck. I know it's a dark colored truck, but I can't tell you. I can't
say
whether it's Chevrolet, Ford, or whatnot. That's what drove me crazy.
Did the law enforcement ask you about that too? Did the law enforcement ask you about that truck, or did you?
I told them everything.
Have they? Yeah, I'm sure you.
He said that he told law enforcement everything that he knew of.
Yeah.
This is like Andy said they worked stuff with Ricky Runton at the time. He was in here. He's on camera. The law knows he.
Neri says that Andy was on camera being in there on Ben Hill, and that the law knows that he was. Jody Sue tried to, when she was putting out the, the bones and the dog thing, she tried to make it sound like Fred has schizophrenia. She's also used that same condition against 3 other people. All right. I think it's odd that she uses that condition to point out conditions that other people have. And I would probably go more with maybe she does rather than they do, right? But everybody down there, she says, is burnout. Their brains are burnt out from meth. You know what I mean? And she also said that, she hooked up with Fred So, and insinuated that, Fred was handing out a load of shit to everyone, and that they had a good laugh about it. But if you listen further on, I don't think this man would have spent this many hours entertaining Ziggy just for the hell of it. I'm sorry. And then Ziggy goes back, a year later, speaks with him again. Hi, Appy. And speaks with him again. And he, communicates with her again for another lengthy visit. If he was just shooting the crap with her and feeding her a bunch of crap like Jody Sue does, he wouldn't have wasted that much time. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm not saying that every single thing he's saying is truthful, but listening to him versus listening to all of the others, I'm more apt to believe Fred, and I'm more apt to believe Dawn. I don't think Fred has a dog in this fight. And that's just my opinion,
He was in here.
The law does know that he was in here?
Yeah, he was on camera.
How,
The TBI and stuff.
they told you that? The TBI told you that?
I know, so. Well, just like when the bone deal came up.
Uh-huh.
They act like I'm just one of them. I mean, they just don't try to disclose nothing. I mean, the cop that was there, he was the first one on scene down there. And the TBI man was asking him questions about where Candace was, where Dawn was. I mean, just right there in front of me, just like it was, like I just wanted them. I mean,
well,
like, okay. I finally just left, from down there. I mean.
All right, so I'm going to pop in something there. He's saying that the TBI man acted like he was just one of them. That's what they do, you guys. They want to win you over, make you feel at ease. Your buddies. If they're good at what they do, that's what they're going to do. And now you've got the jaded jerks, just like you have in all walks of life. But the good ones are going to get more with honey than with vinegar. Okay. But they're also asking him to tap up so that they can get information from Dawn. Did they do the same with Jody Sue? Did they go to Jody Sue and tell Jody Sue, hey, I'm going to give you this device here. We want you to record them. Would you do it? Who's to say? Is that why she was over there all the time? This woman who said that she never had any interactions with them. It's been said before that, she's done similar stuff, allegedly. I don't have any proof of that myself, but, that's what's been said. So why wouldn't she the second time around? Candace started, turning cold towards Jody Sue, not long after, because Jody Sue said that Candace was pulling back. And that's right when Jody Sue started getting the case of the butt at Candace, right? And then claimed that Candace wanted her to change stories and timelines and all this other stuff. Well, let's just twist that around a minute. What if Candace was like, hey, are you trying to set me up? Why are you asking me these questions that you already know the answer to? Why would you be asking me that question? When someone's trying to catch you in something because they'll ask things a certain way, And who's to say that wasn't happening? Don't know, but it's something to think about.
They were asking Dawn in front of you, or wait?
They was asking, the TBI man was asking.
Jody Sue was really interested in reward money, marathon money, anything to do with money. She talked about the reward money nonstop until the day the reward money stopped. And then you didn't hear it no more. And then it was marathon. And then she had her agenda to beat up everybody that had anything to do with the marathon, even though she was involved in the marathon. my personal opinion was she was ticked off. She didn't get the reward money. She said that if any YouTuber received that reward money, she would hunt them to the ends of the earth. Why? If they found where Summer was and they was able to bring Summer home, dead or alive, it wouldn't matter who it is or how they found out. The main object, the main goal is to find her, right? So why would she want to hunt them down? The only logical reason I could come up with was that she felt that money should have gone to her for whatever reason and couldn't get it to come to her.
The cops questions. And I mean, just, what was Candace, because two of them was the cops that was down there at night, down here at the Bones that night, was the first two ones seen when someone went missing. And they was wanting, he was questioning them, kind of just trying to find out, well, was Dawn there? Where was Candace? Was they upset? Was it this? Was it?
So they were talking about Summer even when they were down here about the.
I mean, me standing there just like.
That's weird. So even when they even just for that would have been in January. So even during that time, that day I was.
Well, of course they would be. They're going to ask you the same questions to see if your story changed in all that time, even just the slightest bit. So yeah, that's how that works.
It was the night I was here and that all happened, and they were talking about the Summer case.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
They sent TBI and Hawkins over there.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a TBI at Hawkins County.
Oh, okay.
Inside the jail.
What he just said right there, there's a TBI at Hawkins County. They have, their own little section there in Hawkins County.
I mean, he got his own office.
I'm not really interested in this part here. I'm just getting through it to get to the next step here, and it's going to come up in just a second.
Yeah, it must have never been anything because they didn't. I mean, there's a
lot of stuff. They're just not telling a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff will come out here pretty soon, I'm sure.
So I wonder.
I try to watch what I really do real with those.
He just said that, stuff will come out pretty soon, that he's got to watch what he says. And then he gives a sound like, oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Well, if there's anything you wouldn't want me to say, I would not release it. I mean, I would I would. There was.
I mean, I was asked by the TBI and stuff not to reveal certain things,
Mm-hmm.
He's already said that. He said just now he was told to not reveal certain things. So there are certain things, if you believe what he's saying. Jody Sue has watched this interview. What has she said? That she knows certain things that everybody else isn't privy to, which may well be true. Like I said, who's to say that she didn't tap up too? There's no way, that we can know for sure whether or not.
Yeah. Well.
Because, I mean, I pay attention a lot more than people think. I ain't just the old dopehead that slinging dope not paying no attention.
No, I could tell you have a really good memory. You know how I know is because you're telling me. That's how I can tell if somebody's honest, and I can tell with you because you repeat stories the same as like the last time.
If you don't lie, you ain't got no.
Right. Exactly.
Story.
Making more fast forward, guys.
Even talk to anybody really or not, because I mean, everything I said, they turned it around and twisted. We never seen them at the Bones reveal or nothing. Never. You might see them pull up at their mailbox or something there to get mail.
All right, so I'm going to go to this one now. I believe it's on this one here. And I'm going to start here.
stuff. I don't know. It's creepy.
This one's part 3, guys. Please go to Ziggy's if you haven't already and listen to all of them, one after another in their entirety. It's well worth it.
Creepy. So you never heard about, because now the one of the new things is that, okay, well, everybody is suspecting Jody Sue.
Another thing, see, just like Andy, what makes suspicious?
He just said, this is what made me suspicious. And you got to listen real close because he's not as loud in this one. He's saying that he's seeing a light. They're in a wooded area, he's seeing, he's at the back of this road and he's seeing some car lights, and he's trying to figure out, what's going on.
Oh.
He said it looks like somebody flashing a flashlight, could be neighbors.
They're a bit nosy, but
anyway, being nosy.
Andy coming in here and in that truck car and then back out like that. That was odd to me.
He says Andy coming in and then following that truck back out was odd to him.
Andy don't come up through here unless one of his animals is missing or something, usually.
He said Andy don't come back in there unless one of his animals is missing, usually. Now, what did Andy say in his live? That he stayed, mostly to himself. Now, that Andy watched videos too, all right? There's no way in the world that I'm going to believe that Andy stayed away from the internet, didn't watch Jody Sue, didn't watch Fred, didn't watch nothing all that time. So, what did Andy say? When questioned, he said that he didn't hang out with anyone and that he didn't go over to the wells. Now he's talking about the wells. He's not saying Fred or back of Ben Hill, but he's saying that he didn't go over there unless maybe he was looking for his dogs. And then he mentioned pit bull and a husky. So I found that awful ironic when Andy mentioned it that night, because I immediately thought about what Fred had said. And of course, Fred had posted, Ziggy had posted this conversation back in June of this year. And so Andy's videos, was recently done. And so I don't know if it's just common knowledge to every neighbor on that road that, Andy doesn't go anywhere unless he's looking for his dogs, which is possible. He could have went to every person's house. Hey, I'm looking for my dog. Have you seen him? Could be just as innocent as that. But it just caught, because I look for similarities like that. I look for statements made by one person that correlates with something someone else has said. And then I try to figure out who said it first and why.
But he went and checked his other property that day.
He's talking about Andy leaving on June 15th at some time and going to check their other property. He's saying his other property, but it's actually his parents' property. He's going to go in a little bit more detail about that here in a second. While you're listening to this, I want you, if those of you that have seen the video where Jody Sue is talking, and she's talking about searching for Dobbs on the 14th, and that they were, searching for Summer as well, right? So it kind of blends in, it makes it sound like she's talking about the same day, that she was searching for both Dobbs and Summer on the 14th. And then where she's discussing where she was searching and such. Also, this area that he's about to tell you has been searched several times looking for Summer during the searches. And Jody Sue has said that she knew where every search was done and had watched, physically was there, present for every search done, and that people were like, well, there was only a couple searches, and she in her told her chat, no, that's not true. Searching went on every day for days, weeks, months even, and that she was present for all of them. Now, we only know about a few, so I don't know exactly what she means in regards to what she said.
And just discovered that he didn't have no road into his property that day. And they've been gone for over a year. What made him?
He just said that he discovered he didn't have any road into his property that day. And when you listen to that video of Jody Sue, what is she saying? That someone put a gate up and they can't get that way no more, right? But they went ahead and jumped that gate and searched for Summer. But she's first talking about looking for Dobbs, okay? So, it's very possible that she was talking about the 14th looking for Dobbs. 15th, they went back to that property, jumped the fence, and looked for Summer. It depends on how you want to look at that.
Decided to go down there to that property that day. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's saying, why did he decide to go down and look at that property that day? So he's talking about the 15th, right? Unless he's confused and thinking about the 14th, but he's saying the 15th. Well, I thought that nobody was able to get back out on the 15th. So we do know that she's speaking in front of a restaurant drive-through, because she's communicating with both the drive-through worker and doing a live on Facebook saying that they were finally able to get out to get some food. It was going on midnight and they had to get back because they had interviews to do. And so did they go back and that's when they went searching? I couldn't tell you guys.
It's odd that he went that property.
Did he?
And that's on Fields Road, you see.
On what road?
Fields Road.
Fields Road.
Yeah. Bell Road and Fields Road.
Bell Road and Fields Road. And what did I tell you earlier when we first started this live and earlier last live? I was talking about Fields Road and that he would had to have passed Ben Hill to get to Mount Carmel in order to see Candace at Mount Carmel, because that's what Jody Seuss said. That's how Andy found out that Summer was missing, was by seeing and speaking to Candace at Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church on Beach Creek, and Fields Road is just a skip away from Mount Carmel. And that's where his parents own other property.
When they're searching?
What do you mean they're searching? Bales, B-A-L-E-S?
Yeah, Bale, B-E-L-L, and Fields.
Oh, Fields, okay.
Yeah, it's across from Mount Carmel Church, where they've had all kinds of videos and stuff of it.
Mount Carmel Church?
See, there he speaks of Mount Carmel Church. Isn't that ironic? He's talking about Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel, he tells you, is where they set up the command center on June 15th when they started searching for Summer, where law enforcement set up the command center. So Candace would have been at that church, right? She was supposed to be going up and down the holler looking for Summer, according to Jody Sue. Somehow or another, she ends up at Mount Carmel. My question is, how long did she stay at Mount Carmel? Was she still there when they started setting up the command center? Because later on, Jody Seuss says that Candace, Robin, and David Dotson all went up the hill, one car after another. All three vehicles looked the same, just different color.
Mm-hmm. That's where they had everything set up down there, the law and stuff.
Bales, you said the B-E-L-L-S or B-A, do you know, or spell?
B-E-L-L.
Like a belt,
Yeah.
something like that. Okay.
Road.
Okay. So
It's actually the very next road on the left as you go down.
so
the
they're
highway.
searching, and that's where his other property, or that's where his other family's property is?
So I took TBI and stuff didn't know that his family or anything owned any property down there. See, there's a house back in there. See, that's where Andy and
He just said TBI didn't know anything about them owning property back there. That's curious. It's curious as to why they would have even been mentioned being just the neighbors across the street.
Jody lived before they moved up on the hill down here.
And he said that that's where Andy and Jody lived before they went and moved over to 125.
See, they power everything back there. But it's just old rundown shacks and stuff.
Feel,
4
yeah.
days before they done a search in there, somebody burned a bunch of stuff about right in that there.
All right, so there was a fire in that area. Jody Sue speaks about it in a couple of her lives. Some people have alleged that, it was Andy burning weed that he was growing. Others have alleged that it could have possibly been a little person or other things. Don't know.
Area where the house would have been back there on his property.
So, but is there
I'm not exactly sure when that burn was supposed to have been. I've heard it was on the, 15th or after the 15th. Well, if it was weed, I don't see how, depending on where the wind was going and how much, why law enforcement wouldn't have smelled it. But it's possible that it was just a little bit, not much. I don't know that I would have, if it was personally me, that I would have wanted to be burning anything after a child went missing. Because, it just would make me feel like I would have looked like I was trying to destroy evidence. So, a lot of places burn their trash. Like some states don't have trash service and they burn their trash. And, if that was the case for me and I was a neighbor across the street, I wouldn't have burnt a single thing in my trash can. I would have left it there just in case there was anything, not just a body, but anything in my trash can, and they wanted to search, welcome to it. I wouldn't have burnt anything. So I don't know if it was a burn that was pre June 15th. If Summer went missing before June 15th, they would have had time, depending on when Summer would have, quote, disappeared, to move and destroy evidence. They would have had time to get rid of smell and clean things properly. Not where you can never clean it completely, but depending where and what and how. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, if something was done earlier in time, you would have had a lot more, leeway rather than something happening on the 15th and you're trying to get rid of all kinds of evidence. If you were selling dope, you would want to have time to get all paraphernalia out of your house, before you allow, people come in and search your home. And they say that they allowed, them to search. But then Jody Sue says, they picked the dog up and the dog just stood there at the doorway and didn't do anything. I find that odd too, unless this thing was so small that dog was already able to determine as soon as he stepped foot in the place, this shed that they were in, that there was nothing, there. But again, depending on the time frame and how well it would have been cleaned. And I don't mean like blood evidence or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, say it's a search dog, not a cadaver dog. You might have been able to clean that, vicinity enough to where that dog would have came in there if it was several days prior and not picked up a scent, depending on, evidence. And so let's go back to this, guys.
Any buildings back there now?
The house is still standing. The still have power on it. Door stuff is open on it. I mean, just like it's black, but.
I actually, that's funny you say Phil's Road because I was looking up that house the other day. I was looking up that house, that property.
Yeah. Well, see, if you don't know where it's at exactly, you'd never find it because there's no road.
He said if you didn't know where it was at exactly, you would never find it because there's no road
to it, no nothing. You can't see no house.
To it, or no nothing. You can't see no house.
No nothing from the road.
No nothing from the road.
Like just a hillside like it right there. I mean, like there ain't no road up it, no nothing. But when you turn on Fields Road, off of Beach Street Church, you go across the bridge, Bell Road goes to your left. Fields Road stays to your right. There's old barns stuff there, right in the corner. And then keep on going around through there, and you'll start into another curve. Just when you start in that next curve to the left, it's be like a driveway goes straight instead of going around the curve. The driveway goes kind of straight on. And there's big gate posts and stuff up. They've already a big gate up across.
Now he's talking they've got a big gate up there on the property. This is the gate I believe that Jody Sue was referring to on that video. I thought she was talking about the gate at the end of Ben Hill, and it's possible that she was talking about the gate at the end of Ben Hill. But the way he's saying it here, it also sounds like he's talking about that place. So I'm not really certain, and maybe somebody can correct me and let me know what you guys think, if I'm incorrect here or not. And so, because I don't know what to think, and I don't want to give out the wrong information.
Okay. But where the gate is, if you're looking at the gate.
So you're saying where the gate is, see, you're looking at the gate.
On the left-hand side where the post is, that ridge line right there, that's.
And he's saying on the left-hand side, that ridge line. So he's talking about being, up towards the ridge line.
Where the road actually went up, they cut it out, but they.
Where the road actually went up, they cut it out. So he's saying it was blocked off.
Gate and stuff, and then way with dirt road, you see, and you don't have to walk in there now.
And you've got to walk in there now. And what did Jody Sue say? She said they climbed the fence and went searching, and that they were looking at their old property in that video. So I believe when she's talking in that video that she's talking about exactly the area that Fred is speaking of here, and not the end of Ben Hill Road.
But that's how the road went into their property. When you stand at the gate, if you look to your left, the way the gate lays, that's the way the road goes up that little ridge point there. And once you get up on that ridge, you follow that ridge on back. I mean, it's just like walking through the woods.
And you had the TDI asked you to show him back there?
Yeah, I took him back.
She interrupts him and asks him, did he take TVI up there? And he said that he did.
What was that?
That he took him to the gate. He doesn't say he went past the gate, but he took him to the gate.
Gate stuff, the sheriff told him how to get back in there, but
was that
one of the light searches they done, they supposed to search that in there, but I don't know.
Was that because
he said one of the last searches they were supposed to search that, but he doesn't know.
Well, they searched Bell Road and stuff. Bell Road turns back side of right here.
And he says Bell Road turns back side of right here. So he's talking about back where he's at, where Fred Hill is at. That, you know, here's Ben Hill, and then there's Fred Hill, and then you know, Ben Hill Road, and then there's Fred Hill, and that, you know, Bell Hill is right there when you come out. So I guess he's referring to, you know, like if you were to go through the woods, kind of like how Brandon went around places, you know what I mean? I guess he's referring to that kind of concept there.
They come from it on the other side of this ridge right here. I mean, that's how far it comes
Say
back.
that
Where Richie lives,
here.
the way the gate lays, that's the way the road goes up that little ridge point there. And once you get up on that ridge, you just follow that ridge on back. I mean, it's just like walking through the woods.
And you had the TDI asked you to show him
So he said it's just like walking through the woods.
back there?
Yeah, I took them back.
What was that?
I took them to the gate and stuff. The shirt told them how to get back in there. But
Was that
the light,
recently?
one of the light searches they done, I say first they searched that in there, but I don't know.
Was that because of
Well, they searched Bell Road and stuff. Which Bell Road comes backside of right here. They come from it on the other side of this ridge right here. I mean, that's how far it comes back.
Now he's saying on the other side of the ridge right there. So he's referring to his area where he's at and where Bell would come out at if you were to go through the woods.
when's the last time you talked to TDI? Has they gotten hold of you since I talked to you last? Which would have been January.
Yeah, I talked to Wells. I've talked to them about 3 or 4 times there, you know.
So they keep that hold of you.
I get any kind of,
Info.
yeah, I resume, you know. I don't tell them nothing they start really think it's working.
Yeah. So
It was just odd to me that he didn't check that property yet, or was on that property or something that day and everything.
the same day that Summer went missing.
Yeah. But see, Jody Sue's mom, too.
Now I'm gonna take a restroom break real quick. We don't have much more after this, so I won't be keeping you guys that long. I want to run downstairs real quick, and I'll be right back. We'll be discussing something that he talks about Jody Sue that I think you guys are going to find really interesting. And so I'm going to put you on mute. And if you guys would you communicate with one another in chat? And I'll hurry as fast as I can, I promise. Hi guys, I'm back. And so she went to hang out with my daughters. They're more, in the same age frame. Um, she's interested in starting a channel on her own. And if she does, I'm going to pretend that I don't know her. I want her to, build her own channel so that she can feel proud of it and, not have everybody jump from my channel to her channel just out of kindness, you know what I mean, to me. And so I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to act like I don't know her. Um, I think she's probably going to end up being a clip channel. I'm not sure. That's she's got talent, that way. I was taking some lessons from her tonight early on. She was trying to show me how to use that Canva program, and I just can't catch on to it. And I tried, and so, but I kept her long enough, so she's down there hanging out with them. I don't get to see her often, so I doubt that, I'm gonna get enough time in to learn how to work that program. And, but anyway, so let's get back to this, and let me see, where were we? We were on part 1, that's right. Okay. Let me see what everybody's saying in chat. The wayward wind is a restless wind. It's bound. Okay. Jody said she couldn't just sit around while another mother's child was missing, going to try to make it to the command post. That's right. That's the last thing she wrote in that June 15th message, allegedly. Okay, here we go.
See, that thing, just like when Summer first went missing, Jody Sue talking about, oh, he's a perfect.
He's saying here that when Summer first went missing, Jody Sue, was talking about, oh, it's a perfect storm. So again, you got to take in consideration that Fred has probably watched some videos as well. So did that really happen that day? Did Jody Sue really say the words perfect storm already on June 15th? I tend to believe it, I really do, because I have my own theories. I have several, and some of those theories are before the 15th. Some of those theories start on the 15th, but maybe were planned before the 15th. And she's a quick talker. So even if something happened on the 15th, um, I think that she might be able to come up with stuff really quick. But that's just my opinion.
Storm, because everything in here, the tree trimmers, this, then.
And he goes on to say, because of the tree trimmers, and what was she saying in those very early videos? The 15th and the 16th, and she was going on about the tree trimmers and, them being poor families, and that, it was the perfect storm with the real estate people and so on. So, yes, I do believe that she made that statement to people on June 15th about it being a perfect storm.
When something got brought up about Maroon Tacoma with ladder rack, well, what are they going to do when the ladder rack ain't on it no more?
And right there, he's talking about the red Tacoma, and she's like, and this is on the 15th. Well, what are they going to do when the ladder rack isn't on it anymore? Okay, so let's rewind that.
Missing Jody Sue talking about, oh, it's a perfect storm because everything in here, the tree trimmers, this, then when something got brought up about maroon Tacoma with ladder racks. Well, what are they going to do when the ladder rack ain't on it no more? Like that. And I didn't know it till later on that her mom owned a red Tacoma, or maroon Tacoma. So,
And there he's talking about her mom owning a maroon Tacoma, which we all know at this point, but he's saying that he didn't know until later on that her mom had one. So she had made that comment about what are they going to do when the ladder rack's not on it. Then he finds out her mom has a red Tacoma.
Later on, that her mom owned a red Tacoma, or maroon Tacoma, and Jody Sue been driving it here lately.
And Jody Sue had been driving it lately. And then, they go on to talking about how his wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure if Fred's married or not, but had been in that particular truck with Jody Sue because she had been given a ride.
Yeah, and she's giving you a ride.
The ladder rack on it.
Yeah, because she told me that your wife said that a couple days after I had been here the last.
Now that's in another video, if you guys haven't seen it, on Ziggy's channel, where Ziggy talked to the wife prior to communicating with Fred. They were waiting on Fred, and there was a pretty good long conversation between just Ziggy and Fred's wife.
Last time, but she was driving that vehicle.
Yeah, she got her up here because my truck I drove Cam in it down there next to Donnie's driveway, and I was waiting on somebody to come and help pull it on up here, and come in that truck. That was the same day that her and Andy was supposed to went to court over for
eviction or something, or
restraining order and eviction too when they signed a quick her,
Now I'm going to rewind there for a second. Hang on.
My truck I drove Cam in it down there next to Donnie's driveway, and I was waiting on somebody to come and help pull it.
He's saying there that he's seen it down on Donnie's driveway.
I drove Cam in it down there next to Donnie's driveway, and I was waiting on somebody to come and help pull it on up here, and come in that truck. That was the same day that her and Andy was supposed to went to court over for it.
And he's saying that he's seen it down there on the same day that Jody Sue and Andy were supposed to go to court over the eviction of Jody Sue from 125.
Eviction or something, or
restraining order and eviction too when they signed a quick.
What's going on, Lip Block? Timed her out for 5 minutes. If she comes back with her smart mouth, who is it, Lip? Who is it that's causing problems? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Who is causing problems, Lip Block? Just go ahead and take her out, lip lock. I looked it up. Take her on out. She comes back in. All right, let's go back to this. Whoopsie.
Her, you know.
So they evicted her.
Yeah.
Because that's what.
But that is the third day of them standing on the hill. Andy,
Now he's talking about June 15th. And he's talking about how Andy and Jody Sue and the kids all stood down there, watching and listening to everything that law enforcement was talking about. And he had, in other areas of his interview, mentioned about how he found that odd that, they never left from there, that they were there for hours and hours and hours and hours. And you got to remember, Jody Sue was saying how sick she was. She couldn't hardly walk, this, that, and the other. But, she was able to stand all that time. This is June, so it's hot, and all of that.
he's a hard period. He goes to Knoxville instead of the state for, I think it's, when I seen that story, the next time I seen him, it had been like 21 days.
So he's saying that after the first 3 days of Summer going missing, Andy took off and was gone for about 21 days. Now, there's ways of trying to figure out if what he's saying here is truthful, because you can go back and look at some of the videos that Jody Sue has done and look to see if Andy's in the car. Now, the videos that I've seen of Andy being in the car were pretty early in June. I don't recall many videos after that where he's in the car. Not saying there's not any. I'm just saying that I haven't really paid attention to that fact. So if anyone is going through their screen recordings, please look to see if you also recorded the date, and if after June, what would it be, the 18th, 19th, if Andy is seen inside those, thank you, Liplock, if Andy is seen inside the car.
That he'd been in Knoxville. And it just didn't make sense why he just up and just leave that like that.
But now, like I said, it's possible that he went to see Becca, and they just didn't want people knowing that they were seeing each other at that time, because it was said that they didn't start seeing one another until he left Jody Sue. Jody Sue said that what Fred is saying here is untrue, that Andy was still there at that time, and that he didn't leave when he was telling Becca, or anyone else, that he was still there. It actually means nothing to me other than to try to figure out if Fred is being truthful in all things here. That's the only thing. Other than that, I could care less if Andy left and why he left. Other than, why did he leave? Out of curiosity's sake. But I don't think it would make any difference much. Some would say that maybe he was transporting Summer out of the area, like they made, the same, you know, they said the same thing about Grandis when Grandis left, that she could have carried Summer out of the area. Let's continue.
Just so not for the guy, or what?
No, he just, I don't know what the deal was about that. He just, the third day, he just up and got.
Lip lock, if just block her. Block Bella Blaine. Don't worry about timing her out. She can just go bye-bye.
And went to Knoxville?
Yeah, staying in Knoxville. He thought that working down there somewhere and stuff. And something, like him and JD is having a lot of problems and stuff all of a sudden. And I mean,
so who had to evict her? It was his parents, right? Because isn't it his parents' property?
yeah, it was actually, it was Mr. Carly and John.
He's going to go into talking about here where, and the dog's barking in the background, but he's trying to explain to Ziggy that the property at 125 belonged to Polly and Polly's brother, and that they were the ones who had to actually evict Jody Sue off that land. Jody Sue still states that she wasn't evicted, but that's what happened. And so, but we're almost done with this. We've only got a little bit. We got to get past this dog barking, and then he's going to say something else, and then I'm going to end the live afterwards. But just wanted to get this part out of the way here first.
Oh, we John lives out here in the hollow.
Which is her brother?
Yeah.
And your uncle?
Ziggy's going into, because at this time there was genealogy being done about all of the Ben Hill relatives. And because Ben Hill was named after this man, and all of his descendants live in this area, around this area. And Michelle After Dark had done some genealogy, and then Ziggy got into the genealogy aspect of it. And she was new to genealogy and at the time, whereas Michelle had done it for quite some time, and you could tell, or I could tell. And so she starts questioning him here concerning the genealogical aspect of his life and his family.
Is Polly's brother.
So that would be your cousin, your first cousin.
On the hillside, my dad's side.
It's something, it starts with a C. C, something.
John and Lisa here, John Smith. Nobody wouldn't tell them that they were first cousins.
Was actually married to a different woman when he got another. I was trying to find him online.
Oh, is
it Anthony Paul?
That's what Candace and him said, because Candace and Don was like, I've seen my store something happened. He said they've been trying to get rid of him for a long time.
And right here, they're talking about the Anthony Paul that Fred had talked about, who was supposed to have lived by the shed on Dawn and Candace's property. And so when you go back to Hunter's interview with the interview room, he says, that someone was trying to touch the kids, and that it was, Andrew, Andy, I'm not saying it exactly right, guys, but Andrew and Andy, Anthony, something with the letter A, when he's talking about, the drugs aspect of this, or when he's talking about trying to touch the little kids. And so, everyone was like, who is Anthony? Is there an Anthony in the area? And there are some Anthonys, some Tonys. And when Ziggy was talking to Fred, he came up with the Anthony Paul. And Fred goes on to say that, he liked children a little too much, if you catch my drift. And so people have tried to, figure out who this person is over time. And so he's saying that Candace and Dawn were trying to get rid of him, and, he was hanging around, and we're going to listen, and then it's going to go into that section.
They don't like. Wait, where is when Don gave words? him, Candace, or he just taking advantage of Candace, or I don't know if they had a relationship or what, you know. But they's always all over each other stuff. But they like, we've been trying to get rid of him forever. What you do to get rid of him? I said, next day after we seen you out there, said he knows this shit and he's gone. Because I thought motherfuckers, I do to him if he's ever done anything towards my kids.
And how old was Destiny at the time?
You know, the holler for his daddy now and all kinds of shit and shit as he got away from me. Very next night, I feel like it was Andy Paul, so I feel like he was going to.
Okay, so he's kind of your age, so he might be like 50.
What is
Virginia? Is it really close? Is that why? So,
right up there.
okay, so that makes sense because you didn't know because you said your
My great grandfather. My
Okay, so all right. I'll better hurry because oh my gosh, you're so interesting to talk to. And I'm afraid I'm gonna miss something that you can't. It's impossible. What do you go by on YouTube when you were? Were you going by Fred Hill when you were on YouTube?
Oh, I was mistaken.
Hang on, guys. It might be in this other one here. I don't think I put down the time. Hold on, let me look here. All right, let me see if it's on this one. I think it's on this one. Oh, that's mine. Did I close it out? Oh my gosh, I think I did. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Mm. Let me find it again real quick, guys. I'm sorry. Did I go too far?
We know banking isn't just about numbers. Introducing Wells Fargo Premier.
Mm. Or two.
I don't know.
Did you didn't make an account or anything?
I just on my browser.
YouTube.
I will, but certain ones do. I have to run her parents down 2 weeks later to give them the kids back.
Afraid of
Hanging out because I hate she's like that. Just being honest.
yeah.
Gotta push the right buttons, make it work.
You guys
He would help
using stuff and ask if they could hang out for 30 minutes or something, or to come down a little bit, so Candace wouldn't know or something or whatnot.
Okay, it's not happening
And
yet.
he's
It's speaking. Very
just not here to be parking in the driveway or something there for 30 minutes or an hour or something there.
So they never try to ask you guys for anything to see if you could get anything?
Like somebody was mentioning something about Candace was getting some boxing or something like the JBC or some bullshit or something like that. I think maybe what she got that from. Just being honest.
Yeah.
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 The way JBC is, I'll say
All right, start listening now. Like I said, it's going to be hard because you got the dog in the background. What you're going to hear is him saying that Jody Sue sent him messages, right? Wanting him to go into the creek and talking about her washing the scent off in the creek, and she wanted him to go look in the creek for something, and that he felt like she was trying to set him up, right? Get rid of her own scent or whatever scent that she had possibly put there, insert his own scent into the area so that he could get in trouble. And that's what he felt like, that he felt that she was setting him up.
damn, I always heard it. She'd always act like everything was coming here to get both and stuff. I mean, even way before summer, ever since they moved in, they call her Aunt Damn. She's always dead on like we had all kinds of traffic and stuff. And
She doesn't seem like a very honest.
her kids even go to school because
He's talking about, how there was so much traffic. The kids didn't go to school. He's talking about Jody Sue at this point.
all the things we were running on his collar and this and this and this.
Her kids
Like it.
aren't even going to school, were they? Okay, I heard that.
Well, they did for a little bit, I think. She looked like she trying to send him because of everything coming here. Well, first she told you they was coming here and David Bates, and she said it was coming here in my dad's place, like he was doing a bunch of stupid shit.
I'm not certain what he's referring to there. He's saying something along, maybe Ziggy can clear that up, but he's saying, and somebody might be able to listen to it better than I can. But it sounds to me like he's saying something about going to his place and his dad's place. I'm not sure if he's referring to Jody Sue, doing it. We do know that Don Sherfy Sr. said he had to run her off by gunpoint. So, I'm not certain exactly what point in time Don Sherfy Sr. had to run Jody Sue off by gunpoint. But he's saying right here that he felt some kind of way about her at this time frame.
Yeah.
As I look back at it, see, I didn't even know they'd even been charged for dealing with living in a home or whatever.
And here he's saying he didn't even know that they had been charged, for dealing drugs
In
the past.
dwelling or something other.
Yeah.
Maintaining dwelling.
See, well, I mean,
I didn't even know that until lately.
yeah. Did you know how Jody Sue mentioned the scream? Did you hear anything about it?
Now here it comes, because she's asking about the scream.
I say she tried to get me the same day the son went missing.
He said she tried to get me the same day that Summer went missing.
She kept saying something about the creek, guys.
She kept saying something about the creek.
Jody Sue. And she wasn't missing no scream or nothing.
That she didn't mention no scream or nothing.
But she kept saying something, wanting me to go to.
She kept saying something, wanting him to
Somewhere down there in the creek, something looked funny.
go down there in the creek, something.
Creek. But
in the creek.
The way I've listened to a little bit of her shit, she said, and
He said he listened to a little bit of her shit,
She talked about washing her feet off in the creek.
that she had washed her feet off in the creek.
You know, the officer had taken that the scent would stay in the creek or something.
Something about the scent in the creek or something or another.
It was bullshit. Scent
Yeah.
just
Bullshit.
intensifies once you get red like that and you walk in the creek.
I can't make it out. So I'm going to play it again and I'm going to not say anything. I want y'all to listen, see if you can hear it and what your opinion is, what he's saying right there when that dog is barking.
Yeah. Did you know how Jerry Sue mentioned the scream? Did you hear anything about it?
I say she tried to get me the same day the son went missing. She kept saying something about the creek guy, Jody City. And she wasn't missing no scream or nothing. Yeah. But she kept saying something, wanting me to go to somewhere down there in the creek, something looked funny in the creek. But the way I've listened to a little bit of her shit, you know, she said, and she talked about washing her feet off in the creek, you know, and the officer had taken that the scent would stay in the creek or something. It was bullshit.
That the scent would stay in the creek or some bullshit after washing her feet in the creek.
Scent just intensifies once you get red like that and you walk in.
It intensifies when she gets, and I can't make out what he's saying.
So I wonder what she would think she'd be washing off.
I don't know.
She, you know, he's saying he don't know.
I feel like she had something to do with
He says, I feel like she had something to do with it.
something of hers. She kept saying something about something looked funny and the deep part of
She kept saying something about something looked funny.
somewhere out the creek.
Summer in the creek. I think that's what he's saying. I'm going to play it again.
So it's like she was trying to get me to go
She was saying it like she was trying to get him to go
look, so it looked like me that I was one of
so that it would look like it was him, like he was the one that.
Oh,
That's what I was getting.
That's what he was getting. Now I'm going to rewind it, guys.
So she kept saying something about they didn't been charged for dealing with living in homes or in a dwelling or something other.
Yeah.
Maintained dwelling.
See, well, I mean,
I didn't even know that until lately.
yeah. Did you know how Jerry Sue mentioned the scream? Did you hear anything about it?
I say she tried to get me the same day the son went missing. She kept saying something about the creek guy, Jody City. And she wasn't missing no scream or nothing. Yeah. But she kept saying something, wanting me to go to somewhere down there in the creek, something looked funny in the creek. But the way I've listened to a little bit of her shit, you know, she said, and she talked about washing her feet off in the creek, you know, and the officer had taken that the scent would stay in the creek or something. It was bullshit. Scent just intensifies once you get red like that and you walk in the creek.
So I wonder what she would think she'd be washing off.
I don't know. I feel like she had something to do with something of hers. She kept saying something about something looked funny and the deep part of somewhere out the creek. So it's like she was trying to get me to go look, so it looked like me that I was one of it.
Oh,
That's what I was getting. Feeling, you know, the
like
feeling.
that she wanted you to put your, like,
Yeah, it's
so that,
her, you know. That's the way I think.
I wonder, does she have, so
She
does
knows more than she's telling.
she has a bad reputation around here?
He said she knows more than she's telling. And then Ziggy goes into asking if she had a bad reputation around there. And he says no. And that, you know, basically nobody really saw her out around much, you know. But that's all I'm going to talk about tonight, guys. I don't want to do a long live. And, but, you know, I wanted to piggyback off a little bit off of what had been talked about today. And I wanted to bring that out where he was talking about that Andy was in the silver car on June 15th, and that there's more, where he talks about it. In again, there's two sets of videos. There's the first time that Ziggy went down, and the second time that Ziggy went down. The last time was during the vigil around the 1 year mark of Summer's disappearance. And so, you could probably listen to both and catch a little bit more detail as to, but it pretty much remains the same. And that's one thing that I can say about him, is that it didn't get really added to, and there wasn't much subtracted from. It wasn't verbatim, like a script, like Jody Sue tried to make her story. But it was darn close. Hi, Crystal, and LA Connection, and everybody else that I didn't say hi to while I was running my mouth. Thank you all for coming in tonight, and I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, his dog sounded like he wanted to eat somebody, huh? Sounded like a little dog, and those are the ones you got to watch out for. They'll get you fast. I got tore up by a Great Dane, and I thought they were supposed to be the most loving dogs of all. Um, I'm a cat person because for some reason dogs just don't seem to like me. I don't know what it is. I've been bit like 4 different times by dogs that weren't supposed to bite, and I don't know. Maybe they just don't like the way I smell. I don't know. But but yeah, so I wanted to bring that out and mention what he had said about the girl um that day in her description, because something was mentioned about a person that fit that description earlier today. And so that vehicle, the silver one, was repossessed, and it's always bothered me since the very first day. Well, Jody Sue first said um that she was going to keep that vehicle, that that she had put it down in this paperwork and all that, and that she was going to keep it. And then a later video that she did, she stated that she wasn't going to make the payments, hadn't made the payments, he wasn't making the payments either, and she was just going to let it go. And this was around the time she was complaining about having her stuff in storage, and complaining about the guy that owned the storage company and all of that, and some kind of drama that was going down with that. I don't know if it was non-payment, what, and but it was all around the same time frame. But it always bothered me because uh, I hope that you know for a child to go missing, and the cars just weren't checked as well as I feel that they should have been checked, in my opinion. And I don't really know how well they were checked, but I do know that they weren't carried in. Let's just use Gabby Petito, for instance. She goes missing, you know what I mean? Um, and then, they took the stuff off. But it's, when you watch TV, you see something one way. In real life, it's done a different way because they've got to have probable cause, to do these things. It's not like they could just go into neighbors' yards and, hey, buddy, I'm taking your car and I'm pulling it into a lab, and, we're going to really check it out for blood stains. They can run a dog through and see if the dog reacts, if the owner of the car will allow it, and if not, then they'll get a warrant to do it. But Andy said that that they did go through the cars, so I'm assuming that there was no hits on those cars, and that's if these animals were properly trained animals. And not just animals that were trained and then went to someone's home and lays on the carpet all the time and never, you know, practice, so to speak. And I fear with the way that, you know, it's been said that Hawkins County is, I can see that happening. I can see the dogs just reverting back to being dogs. You know, Jody Sue tells her story about the dog stopping at her feet. Obviously, the handler didn't notice, you know, and then they had the other dogs going around and all of that. So that's what I'm saying. If you listen to it all, or talking about getting in the creek, I did pull another video that goes with getting in the creek. But you know, if I put that one out there, we'll be here for a couple more hours. And I want to get downstairs and talk a little bit. And so with the family. And but anyway, I thank you all for coming. Um, I'll see you guys soon. And y'all take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And I'll see y'all soon. Good night, y'all.